Hi ladies and dudes, and welcome back. It's time for me to tell you about my top 5 most favorite scores that came from the Taken Saga. Both 1, 2, and 3. So let's get right to the last 5 good scores that are truly the most epic ones of all. So let's get this started. At number 5 goes to the college scene. The college pursuit or something like that. It starts with the letter P, but anyway, I'd rather call it the college fiend. Oh my goodness, I fell in love with that score from Taken 3. I will say, out of all the epic scores that I heard for Taken 3, I will say that the college theme is definitely one of the best epic scores that I ever heard in my life. And that score is all about where Brian Mills is going to cause a little bit of chaos of what's going to happen at Kim's college place. I mean, he took a big giant risk to get out of that college area as quick as he can from those cops. I mean, this is one of the best pure epic scores ever in the Taken Saga history. It was so darn epic. It has a great edgy feel to it. It has a really good rhythm. It has a good beat. It's so darn strong, so darn pure. You gotta listen to this score to believe it. It will truly blow you away. Big time, for real, if you know what I mean. I have nothing else to say about this score, but that college score deserves to be at number 5. Okay, for number 4 goes to one of my favorite sad scores that came from Taken 2, and it took place at the near end of the movie. And to tell you the truth is, ladies and dudes, about that near ending of the movie is one of the best parts I love about Taken 2. And it has good, memorable moments that you gotta see to believe. So anyway, for number 4, goes to the death of the Propoya Dude leader. I don't know the guy's name, the name of the villain, but I'd rather call him the Propoya Dude leader. I mean, that score had truly blew me away. And I fell in love with that scene. It's so darn mind-blowing. I mean, I will never forget after when Brian Mills had finally killed that evil Propoya dude who beat him up and all that stuff. I remember he got injured so badly, he used one of his guns, and he started to find that evil Propoya dude leader to know where his hideout is. He finally found him, and this is where Brian Mills said that most epic speech that you'll ever say to that guy is, give up on this mission of yours, go back to Propoya where you belong, and join the rest of those young men that you have who are your sons or your grandsons, and just start your life all over again and all that stuff. I mean, that scene really did blew me away, and I also fell in love with that score too. That score also blew me away. I mean, this is one of the best edgy mystery, but yet a pretty sad score. And don't get me wrong, ladies and dudes, this score kind of reminds me of the Schindler's List. I haven't heard all these Schindler's List scores that came from John Williams. I know John Williams is such a genius, but this score right here did remind me of the Schindler's List. I mean, this score really did blow me away. The only thing I can remember about that score is that violin feel to it. This is truly the thing that reminds me of the Schindler's List is the violin. So you better pay attention to that score to believe it. It will truly blow your mind. And please watch that near ending. It was one of the best parts I love about Taken 2 the most. So yeah, the death of the Propoya Dude leader deserves to be at number 4. Okay, ladies and dudes, here's the most biggest moment you all been waiting for. Is my top 3 most favorite epic scores that I ever heard from all 3 of the Taken films, or rather thought the Taken soundtracks. And these 3 scores are truly the best ones ever. So let's get right to it. At number 3 goes back to the first Taken movie. And this score is the most touching score ever. It's part really sad and part heartwarming feel to it. So for number 3 goes to the hotel score. I can't spell the name of this hotel, but it starts with the letter C. But I'd rather call it the hotel score. I mean, I fell in love with that score. That score really did blow me away. I think the best part about that score is definitely the beautiful piano feel to it. It is so darn beautiful when I hear a great score that involves a piano. It was so darn sad, but yet so heartwarming at the same time. And I will never forget that scene where there's no dialogue around as Brian Mills is trying to nurse this poor girl back into health for what had happened to that poor girl for getting involved in drugs and be part of the sex trade business and all that stuff. But this girl is the only hope that Brian Mills could get of trying to find a way to know where Kim is and all that stuff. So while Brian Mills is waiting for the girl to wake up and all that stuff, Brian Mills had a really rough day, like in the last 24 hours or something, and he only has whatever hours to go before 96 hours will be up. I mean, that score really did blow me away. It was so darn beautiful. I fell in love with that scene for the movie, and it's pretty darn emotional. And you'll see how heartbroken that Brian Mills is, that he really missed his daughter very much deep inside of his heart. So you better check out that score to believe it. It will blow you away. And that hotel score deserves to be at number 3. Okay, for number 2 goes from the Taken 3. And I will say, out of all the scores that I heard that are kind of short or long, this score is the most longest one of all. And this score did kind of remind me of if I could listen to this score from some type of orchestra that came out live, I guess. So for number 2 goes to Brian's Grief. I fell in love with that score. That was one of the most beautiful, but yeah, very sad, very emotional score I have ever heard in my life. That score really did blow me away. It was so darn emotional, pretty darn sad. It'll break your heart. And I think my main guess for this score, I think it's all about where Brian Mills is still kind of heartbroken even to this day about what had happened to his precious Lenny since his Lenny died from some unknown killer that we don't know of. And I'm sure I think he still kind of feels sad and all that stuff, but I gotta go back and rewatch Taken 3 today. So yeah, I'm going to see Taken 3 again with my mother. This will be exciting. I just fell in love with this score. It's very beautiful, very edgy, very sad, and it will truly blow you away. I fell in love with all these wonderful instruments that involve with this very epic score. And this score is a freaking masterpiece. It is a masterpiece score after all. And I think this is one of the best orchestra scores ever in movie history. So please go to YouTube right now and check out that song right now. So Brian's Grief deserves to be at number 2. And finally, ladies and dudes, here we go. This is the most important moment we all been waiting for. Is my number 1 best epic score that came from the Taken soundtracks, or the Taken films, or just the Taken Saga. And this score is the best one of all. And it came from Taken 2. I'll never forget this score when I first heard it in theaters. And I did hear it again for Taken 3. So for number 1 goes Fight in the Handman. I fell in love with that score. This is one of the best scores I ever heard in movie history, or rather thought the Taken Saga history. This score really did blow me away. And this score really did remind me of the score that came from Batman Begins. And I wish that Hans Hans Zimmer, whatever that dude's name is. I wish he should create that score way sooner when he did Batman Begins. And he should have added that score where Batman and Ra's al Ghul were fighting each other at the train. If you remember that scene or not. But I fell in love with this score. This score is an epic masterpiece. This score will truly blow you away big time. And this score is all about where Bryan Mills has to risk his life to face one of these bad guys as soon as he can and try to kill them off, just one by one. Yeah, I remember in Taken 2, yeah, Bryan Mills did have a really big, bad, brutal fight with one of those evil Propoya dudes. I remember there was some punching, kicking. I think a couple of ribs had broken off or something like that. I mean, Bryan Mills got beat up by that guy. And they decided to add that score again for Taken 3. And that's the part where Bryan Mills has to face that evil Russian dude who has so many tattoos in his body. And I remember that Bryan Mills got beaten up by that guy too. And I think that guy had kicked Bryan Mills in the stomach. And I think he broke a couple of his ribs. Maybe, but I'm not so sure. But yep, fight in the Handman had truly blew me away, and this is one of the best scores I have ever heard in movie history. So anyway, fight in the Handman, but aka Bryan Mills versus one of those deadly enemies he has to face, deserves to be the #1 best score ever in the Taken Saga history. Period. And that is it, ladies and dudes. Those are my top 10 most favorite scores that came from the Taken Saga. I hope you enjoyed this list, and I did my best for it once again, since I had trouble making up a sentence or two. So anyway, ladies and dudes, what is your most favorite Taken scores of all time that came from #1, #2, or #3? Whichever they are, leave a comment there and let me know. And also, I got a couple of shout-outs for a couple of my friends of mine who are also a big fan of the Taken Saga as well. I got Alex, Amu, whatever her name is, Anime Hero, Ashley, Henry, Homer Power, JW Universe, ANK Forever, the Yeoman, Steven, Dash Potter, and Harley Hilarious? I don't know their names. I got a few of them here and there, but I want to tribute this top 10 list for them, since I want to thank them all for becoming good Taken Saga fans, and I really do appreciate your, for being so brave and all that stuff, and enjoying the Taken Saga and all that stuff. Well, you get the idea, so I tribute this top 10 list for all of you, and thank you for becoming my good friends on YouTube, and I can't wait to see more of your videos coming really soon in the future. So, that's it for now. I will see you all later. Sayonara!